I am Cece Stens. I'm one of the special program support teachers for our school district and primarily early childhood, which is our 3 to 8-year-olds within across the district. Here today to share with you some really amazing tools that we were able to purchase for all of our schools. And thinking about our own tools as teachers, we've got staplers, paper, Post-its, pens. So we have our tools that we use throughout our school day. And the tools that students use include their backpack, their thermoses, all the things they bring, but there's other tools as well that we can add to our classroom. I'm going to show you some of those today. One of the tools I want to share are weighted stuffed animals. There's 3 different ones you might see around. This one happens to be our common chameleon. When we use weighted items, it helps to ground us. It helps us to be able to provide where our body is in space. Maybe we've got the fidgets, maybe we like to wiggle a little bit, maybe we like to move out of our spot. And by giving a friend a hold that's a little bit weighted, it also focuses us where we're supposed to be in the moment. A great tool if kids are working at carpet time, at their desks, if you're moving in transition even, carrying a weighted item also helps their hands be busy with a purpose, helps you to be able to transition for some students that may need a transition friend to go with them, but it also has some weight to it. We call that heavy work. When you're doing anything that's adding a little bit of weight to a task, heavy work can help students that have more high energy, calm, and low energy, rev up. A weighted animal or one of your tools. This is one of the gel tiles. You might have seen these in lots of places out in the communities that you've been to. These are really important things, tools that give us some feedback by touch. So when we think about kids that might like to touch their friends or are working on personal boundary or personal space, or just understanding what that input is to their joints, by using a gel tile, you can place it on a floor or you can put it at a vertical surface. And when you push on it, the gel moves. You're gonna have to push down pretty hard to get this to move. And what that does is it gives input all the way up through the joints that really help the child to get feedback about their body. So pushing on here not only does that, but gives you some visual input and some tactile input on here as well. They come in different colors. Great again if you have to have a student know maybe where their spot is. This might define it for them. They can stand on this spot. Maybe this is the special spot that a friend is going to wait with a toy on, and it's the waiting spot. Not only are these tools for the student, but you can incorporate these throughout your classroom instruction for SEL to support students in lots of different ways. This is our gel mat. Going back to our weighted animal, this is a weighted blanket, but it also has some really neat sequin effect for our students. Some of our students are really still needing to have some tactile input, and when we're sitting down for instruction that's more verbal at students, that can be a challenge for them. Providing something like this weighted lap blanket that has the sequins, they can attend and listen, but also keep their hands busy in a purposeful way to be able to also focus on you. The nice thing with this as well is that visual feedback they get with the tactile, and then again, the weighted element that they are grounded where they're supposed to be in their space. They may choose to take it off or put it on as they like. Another option, carrying in the hallway again, like we talked about with the stuffed animal. Being able to carry that heavy weight, helping to calm the students that might have an excess of energy for the task at hand, or to rev up students that need to wake up their bodies a little bit more with our weighted sequin blanket. This is one of our boards. I call it the doodle board. It has an on and off button on the bottom, a pen that stays attached on the top, and a great way to give another modality for students to interact, whether it's a writing activity or it's a doodle time. I know me, when I'm in long meetings, I love to be doodling or chewing gum or doing something, and it's helping me actually to focus. If you were to ask me just to sit and listen, sometimes that's not always available for me. So by giving a doodle board for a student that may need this, they're able to doodle along while also listening to what you're saying, or by pushing, you can erase. Maybe they are answering. Maybe they're a non-speaking student, but they can write the answer to you. Maybe they're drawing an answer to you. Maybe they're just tuning into an activity and communicating their needs via this as well. Again, a doodle board has lots of great opportunities. You can put it on a vertical surface for students that maybe need a little bit more input as they're drawing and writing to be able to respond and use this tool. This is our doodle board. These are headphones that we call deadheads, meaning that they deaden the sound that might be occurring in your classroom environment. If we think of students that might have auditory challenges or auditory sensitivities, just pausing in a classroom and listening to everything you can hear. There's humming of some lights, there's things going on in the hallway, a phone might ring, a bell might ring, papers getting scribbled on, kids are at their desks moving, And I can manage those sounds very well, but for some of our students, that's auditory bombardment. And it overloads their sensory system and not giving them access to listen to the other things they need to tune into. It just becomes more noise to them. To help students that might have the auditory sensitivity or bombardment issues, you can offer these deadheads. For students that are in the first time trying it, we'll put them on first to model, or I have other students model, but they're gonna soften the sound in the environment so it doesn't come at their ears so intensely. And for some students, it really does help them to focus and attend. These are great if you're going to larger group assemblies, when you're walking through the hallway, for students during fire alarm drills. Times where things might get louder than normal or unpredictable, and they can be tools that are available, not always being used, but they're available when someone does need it. Meeting kids right where they're at with what they need, how they need it, with their deadheads. These are some other visual tools that provide some input, and what you'll notice in the slow dripping oils is you can also take the time to teach how you can talk about your breath. When you're watching the bubbles, you can slowly watch them drip, take a deeper breath, and being able to take a moment to just pause. These aren't very fast flowing, so it also helps our brains and our bodies to slow down. This can be something when you have a student that needs some help in the moment. Maybe they're recovering and they're needing to take a calm break and just get their body back on track, get their brain back in the frontal cortex, but to be able to give some input visually that way to slow down. Some of our students seek visual input. You might have kids that like to drop things. You might have students that like to see things fall or to move, and this gives them the tool that they need so that other things in the classroom don't have to be that tool for them, that maybe serve a different purpose. There's a lot of variants of different kinds, ones with even more spinning features on the inside that give a little bit more visual input. In all different shapes and sizes are sensory bottles. This is one of our Labyrinth breathing boards. It may be tiny for you to see, so I'll show you mine. But it provides an indented groove in the wood in that you can trace with your finger and intentionally take a breath in. And out. It gives the tactile feedback to the student. It can cue also the breath, and there is patterning within this. So when you think about students who might have unpredictable or challenging behaviors, the more predictable and patterned we can be in how we respond by offering these tools to students, but also in patterns such as this, to be able to support their breath, slow their bodies, help them focus, take away the distraction or the stressor that may have been moving their system offline, but be able to support students through labyrinths. You can do this also if you have a tray with sand. That can also create the same feedback. Being able to provide some Play-Doh and follow and trace on that. So know that this tool you can create in your classroom with lots of things as well, but modeling, I want to cue into that as well. When we have these tools, it's really key to teach the teachers to model, because the students are going to take after your leadership. So being able to model what breath looks like, not a lot of our kids know how to slow down and pause to breathe, and some of us still work on that too. So being able to practice this could be a morning meeting, a habit huddle where you all take this breath together using the tool, and then the tool goes off in the classroom for students to use at a later time. But our Labyrinth breathing board. This is one of my favorite ones I've just found most recently. It has water and gel in it, and when you open the bag up, it'll look something similar to this. It has the glitter that can be moved from side to side. You might have students that are pushing all at the same time. I really encourage one side, one side, one side, one side. What ends up happening is you're seeing the glitter move, the water sound, and bilaterally, I'm using both sides of my body with intention, and then I can add in the breath. The water almost makes me feel like I'm by the waves. And for some students, to help them to focus on using both sides of their body, not at the same time, is part of that pre-writing, dressing, all those self-help skills. And it's also calming our brain to be available. And when doing this, I can listen to a teacher talking. I can focus on my breath. And I can stay in my prefrontal cortex ready for learning. Our little gel water breathing tool. This is our visual timer. You might see these around lots of different classrooms. They come in different colors. We can set our timer and it shows time elapsing. How many times have we even said to our own kids, we'll be there in 5 minutes, and 5 minutes comes and goes, and then there's another 5, another 5. Time is a pretty loose concept. There's not a concrete thing that tells me time is leaving unless I'm watching the clock. But here, this gives me the feedback. So if I'm a student that needs to know how much time I have to do a task or what's coming next, when will that be, this provides me that feedback. And again, go back to predictability. When I know what to expect, I know how long you want me to do that, and what comes next, you help my nervous system to calm. All of us have our calendars on our phone and our planners, and our whole day, we know what might be happening in our day. Our students aren't any different in needing to have that predictability of time. And time can be pretty abstract for a lot of our students. Adding visual timers is a universal strategy that helps a lot of students understand time management, that executive functioning, also planning and preparing and predicting the next thing to come, the element of our visual timers. The next tool I have to show are what we call the fidget bands. So if I took one out, this happens to be a cut up one, but the fidget bands have different colors, which means a different intensity when you stretch and pull them. You might have students that need to really pull apart, and then other ones that would be physically demanding, so it's going to have less tension for them to pull. So all different colors, but the nice thing with these bands is you can do so many different activities. Again, go back to that joint compression and that feedback to our body that I talked about with other tools. I can stretch and I can take my body into different ways where maybe I'm all around the classroom and I need to get my body some input. So I'm going to give some stretches. It's going to give me feedback to my joints. I'm crossing midline. I'm going from center to out. And I'm getting lots of good feedback. What I like to do with some of our youngers is sing the ABCs. Maybe there's a song you're singing and everyone has their stretch band. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Maybe it's a name. Maybe you're going through your habit huddle and you're learning each other's names and you stretch out the syllables of everyone's names. You can incorporate these in along with having them in your Calm kits, but you can incorporate them in your lessons as well, giving that biofeedback to students as you're instructing and learning and making it a natural part of your classroom instruction and day to support students where they're at. Then when we have students that need them, everybody knows they are the tools, not the toys. Again, our stretchy bands. A tool that you might not think of often as a tool are some stickers. For some of our students, that feedback to peel or to move their fingers and even using their pincer grasp can be a challenge or can be something they seek out to do. If doing instruction at times, giving students something to manipulate with their hands, such as even taking a sticker and peeling it, again, you're working both hands together, peeling off stickers and putting them on paper, maybe just even answering questions by each sticker each time. But giving the stickers is something that seems really subtle, but for some students, it really gives them a focused task activity while also using their ears to listen to instruction or just to take a moment to calm and slow down. This isn't a fast thing to do. The stretching and some of the heavy work might be done with a little bit more movement. Maybe you need something that's a little quieter and slower to do to really help that nervous system calm down, to regulate, relate, and get back onto instruction. You'll find all these great tools in your classroom to be able to put in a Calm Down kit. This is a sticker you can apply on the end. And again, like anything, we have our scissors, our pencils, our paper, our supplies through the classroom are all labeled and organized, telling kids where their tools are when they need them. These are also tools for your classrooms to be able to support students. We support those math and reading instructional needs with all those tools, and we also support our social emotional needs for all of our students by providing them Calm kits to use when they need to get back into their thinking part of their brain and to support learning in the classroom. So in closing, with all these great tools for your classroom, again, my name is Stacy Stenz. I'm a program support teacher in our district. If you would like any more input on these tools or problem solving as a thought partner, the tools in your classroom to support your students, or any questions about what we talked about today, feel free to reach out, and I'll also put some material in for a link that has what I've talked about today and a nice printout for you if you want to reference that as well. Again, we're here to serve, support, and help our students succeed every single day. Thanks.